Good afternoon and welcome to Willow's Green Permaculture. My name is Stephen Dixon and today I want to talk to you about planting wine cap mushrooms. If this is something you're interested in, then let's get started. My first time ever, first time I actually consciously grow mushrooms instead of just passively harvesting them and foraging them in the garden and in the forest. So I'm here right beside our nursery in a little wooded area. So this is a partially shaded area, woody area. It'll be more noticeable in the summer. And I've just cleared a little area of the little saplings. They're mostly little dogwood saplings around here. And now I'm putting down at least a 20 centimeter or 2/3 of a foot thick of wood chips before I actually start layering the mushroom, the wine cap mushroom kit with more wood chips in a lasagna type way. Now I've got a 15 to 20 centimeter layer of wood chips here, hardwood wood chips. It's either 15 or 20 centimeters depending on where you measure it, let's say from the ground, because the ground is uneven. So between half a foot to 2/3 of a foot. Now I'm going to go get the kit, the mix. I'm going to go get some more wood chips to mix the kit into and see if I have to add any more, and we'll take it from there. So this little area I prepared is about a little bit more than 1 square meter, a little bit more than 9 square feet. And I'll show you how much wood chips that is. So you can see the thickness here, between 10 and 15 centimeters thick. And about a square meter, 9 square feet. That's about 2 of these wheelbarrows full of wood chips. This is one of your standard size wheelbarrows with just the one wheel in it, and it's a lifetime wheel. It's not a wheel that you have to pump up. It's solid. And this type of wheelbarrow is the easiest to take into forests and woodlands and uneven terrain. Here's the area I'm planting the wine cap mushrooms in. It's our nursery, our main nursery, you could say. We start growing things. You can see the pile back there. It's basically on the edge of this woodland here. There's some trees on this side of it as well, and more trees. It's not a thick shade. It's not deep in the heart of the forest, although that might work. They prefer some shade. You can plant them in sun, but you'll be having to water them more often, and you won't get as many mushrooms, and they might dry out quickly and crack on you quickly and that type of thing. So here's the mushroom kit. Never done this before, so this is kind of exciting. And on the guide it says to mix them in with about 10 centimeters or 1/3 of a foot of wood chips and to plant them into that. Now, like I said, I've put 15 to 20 centimeters here. Why? Because I've laid these wood chips directly down on the forest floor with whatever vegetation is under there. It's not thickly with big vegetation, but there is vegetation under there. I didn't put any cardboard, I didn't put any paper, just the wood chips. Don't mind if stuff eventually grows through. It's a natural environment, but for this first time through, I don't want to give these mushrooms any competition for the nutrients in the wood chips. And so that's why there's a thicker layer, but all you really need is about 10 centimeters or a 1/3 of a foot thick of wood chips, which would mean just one of these wheelbarrows full. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, okay. Now this has been sitting in my fridge, I think, for at least a month. I hope they're okay. They should be refrigerated. They should be fine storing long term. It's been a month, maybe even 2. I'll check the date later. It's actually been 2 months, since mid-February. Here's the kit. Right there, wine caps. Very nice. And so now all I'm going to do is crumble this onto these wood chips and then mix them in with my hands. I'm not going to use a fork. I'm not going to use metal or anything like that. I just want to use my hands so that it's organic with organic, and we'll see how it goes. Let's read what it says here. Mix crumbled spawn into moist straw or hardwood chips in containers or around the base of garden plants, shrubs, and trees. Keep watered. Now, I also learned that, you know, a forest habitat is also good for them. And it's also, I chose a spot that's not far from where I have access to water. I've got the creek right here. I want to just go get buckets of water. And over here about 20 feet away is our greenhouse, and there's a hose there. I could come and water this if needed, if we get a dry summer. However, it's fairly, we've also got our little drainage brook here that should have water in it at least until the end of June. Keep cool or refrigerate until use. Ingredients: mushroom culture grown on pure sawdust and organic bran. Okay, Stropharia rouge-vin. Stropharia rugosoannulata sawdust spawn, 2 kilograms. So 2 kilograms of spawn mixed in with the sawdust and stuff, I guess, that I'm going to spread onto 9 square feet or a square meter. Okay, now let's do this. Should have brought a pair of scissors. I got some in the greenhouse right here. Got my scissors. Now, as you can see, I brought some more wood chips because it might be easier to mix it in if I just add some wood chips on top after I've crumbled this up. Because once again, I don't mind that there's an extra thick layer of wood chips there. So, let's see how this goes. And apparently, if you give them more shade, they get more mushrooms. And so, the extra thick layer of wood chips should help in that regard too. If there are more mushrooms, they'll probably need more wood chips to feed off of. All right, let's open this up. Smells like fresh mushrooms. There's what it looks like inside. I hope they're okay. Smells like mushrooms. Let's go and start crumbling it onto here. So let's change the camera position. We can do this. Okay, so now you can see the whole surface. Let's start crumbling this on. I'm just gonna crumble it like it's soil. Doesn't smell so much on my skin. And there's probably some other type of mushroom spawn in these wood chips. So I'm gonna have to make sure, obviously, that I identify them correctly when it's time to pick. Now, we already had some wine caps that grew randomly in our garden last year out of our wood chips. It was out of our straw. So I already know what they look like. You can see that video right here. First, I'm just gonna spread this all around. Make sure all the chunks are nice and crumbled up. Don't want big chunks. Get as much of the tiny mycelium in contact with the wood chips, and then I'm gonna add some wood chips on top, not too thickly, and I'm gonna mix them all in. And then give it a good watering. I don't have the hose turned on yet, but I've got my watering cans that I can fill in the creek right over here. I love mushrooms. I'm glad to plant my own. I love planting like this. It's called broadcasting, where you can just throw the stuff. I like to do it with seeds too, just throw the seeds. You know, whenever I'm threshing or processing seeds, either in the workshop or in the kitchen, lots of them fall on the floor and stuff. And so I'll just sweep those up and keep them in a bucket, and depending on what kind of seed there are, I'll just throw them out either in midwinter if there's stuff that needs to be cold stratified, or I'll throw them outside this time of year if they need warmer weather. There we go. There's a bit left in the bag, but I'll fill it with water and get whatever's left stuck on the sides of the bag. I'm going to make sure that I've crumbled it all up. Start the mixing process. I can see it. Oh, nice. I have no idea when we're going to get our mushrooms. Hopefully by, I don't know, early July. I have no idea. No, probably not. Probably not until August or something. I'll have to check when we got our wine caps last year. There's a video I did on it. It was towards the end of May because the video came out on May 30th. That's a lot earlier than I thought. That was the only video I've done that I had someone else do my thumbnail for me. No, I'm gonna do that again. Do my own thumbnail, do my own SEO. I know what kind of voice I have, so I know what kind of messages I want to give. There we go. Okay, it's all good and crumbled and it's mixed in. I'm just gonna add some wood chips to this. Not too thick of a layer, but a little bit. Some people might wonder, are these sterilized wood chips or anything like that? Nope, nothing special. These are just some hardwood wood chips dropped off for free by arborists, because every once in a while I register myself for free with chipdrop.com, and so arborists come and they drop their chips off here because they need a place to drop them. They don't have a place to drop them, while they have to pay to dump them. But I mean, this is wonderful, this stuff. Love to take it off their hands. Whenever I see an arborist go by, if I'm outside, I go and chase after the truck. Sometimes I catch up to it in 100 meters. Sometimes I catch up to it in a kilometer. On foot. Times more. I think this is my 4th bucket of this. Is like what that looks like, about a 3-gallon bucket here. 3-gallon pot with wood chips. I think that's it because I can't really see the mycelium anymore. I'm just gonna kind of mix it. Make sure it all gets good and mixed. Go. All done. I'm just gonna water it. I mean, it's damp, but I'm gonna water it anyway. Get all of it out. See, because these are all living beings. I don't want them to be stuck in this plastic bag. What's gonna come of them if any of these guys get stuck in the plastic bag? What kind of life would that be? I want to get them all out. There we go. Oh, there's... I'll use my finger. Maybe that's just a little bit of straw that's left. Well, we got a bit of water left here, so. Oops. capture this out as we can. There we go. That looks pretty clean. But I am going to put it inside out. I'm just going to put it in one of these pots here I've got beside my nursery, and the rain will wash the rest of it out down into the soil. I might even just put it in one of my watering buckets. Yeah, that's what I think I'll do. Put this in one of my watering buckets, soak all the rest of it out of here. There's a watering bucket right there. Okay. There we go. That should do it. Always keep watering buckets around with clean water that I get from the creek for the animals, in case they're thirsty when it gets dry and stuff. Sometimes when you see stuff that's being nibbled on in your garden, or is partially eaten, and sometimes completely eaten, lots of the time it's because the animals are thirsty, not because they're hungry, and not because they particularly want to eat that food. It's just that they can see there's a lot of water in it. So that's one way you can cut down on foraging in your gardens by animals. Just understanding how nature works can really help to maximize your harvest and be able to do it in harmony with nature and having wild animals living around you. Got a lot of videos about that. Check them out. One of the more recent ones was There Are No Pests, but I don't even mention that about the watering buckets in that one. But I mention about it in others. You can't see it, but there's a little plastic pot floating in the water of that bucket full of water, the watering bucket. And the reason why it's there, it's because not only can I use it if I need to water stuff, but also it's floating there in case a little animal falls into that water, an insect or whatever, can't get out, can crawl up onto the top of that and get out more easily. Sometimes I'll use sticks too. Okay, well. I hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something from it. You found it useful. If you liked it, then share with your friends and give it the thumbs up. And if you have a question or a comment, don't hesitate to leave it in the comments, because as you know, I read all the comments and answer all the questions. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this does. And if you need any seeds for your garden, and pretty soon I'm going to be having plants available for any of you that are a bit more local. I know some of the first ones are going to be yarrow and mullein and a few others. I can see them growing. I think I've got some Canada columbine. I've got some hickory, and I've got some New England aster. So yeah, I'm going to be putting those on the nursery website pretty soon. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. The marsh marigolds are getting started.